It's the Golden Reach Show! That's TS.
And that's Sasha.
And we are live on idobi Radio. Whoops. We are live on idobi Radio here at the idobi Radio Studios. I don't know. We'll never stop laughing at that. That opening.
Were we harmonizing with ourselves?
Yeah, I don't know. I like
love
doing
it.
that, right?
I love it.
I feel like I could change that. Like I could take our screams out. And I don't even know why I have them there.
It's punk rock. We're like doubling our
Yeah,
screaming
that's
vocals.
exactly.
Yeah.
I was doing like a little Nirvana thing there.
Yeah.
You know, a little sub pop era for us. Find us everywhere. Just search Cool Nerd Weed Show. We're on Instagram. We are on YouTube. We are on all of the streaming platforms everywhere, forever and ever. We have like 300 shows. I looked.
Yeah, I think our archives is on idobi Radio. That's where you can start.
No, we're also on it's everywhere.
It is everywhere.
Yeah. Like it's just Spotify. We have like our best ofs up there. We're doing video on Spotify if you guys want to check that out. If you like want to look at it. It's there.
It is. Everybody that I've been talking to that knows that Spotify has video now is loving it.
Yeah, it's lit. And you know, it's like all over my FYP is a podcast, a video of a podcast. It is all the rage. Now, it is to be noted that we've been doing podcasts for a while, but that's okay. That's okay. Popularity is fleeting. and it's great that podcasts are such a thing now. I'm really grateful that broadcast kind of like meshed with podcast. So that's amazing. Like it's great. So we are doing our video there. Our past couple episodes are there. Our wonderful idobi Radio staff here is slaying it with fire all over the place. Also idobi.com is a great place to go for our everything. Everything. And we are very happy and grateful to be here on this Monday per the usual. And we're smoking. Oh wait. We're smoking
Top shelf cultivation. Sour cupcake.
Sour cupcake, which is a 37% THC sativa, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah,
you don't see many well, you do, but they're probably not true sativa. And I don't even know if this is a true sativa. I don't know what this is.
I don't know. I mean, what I've gathered, and I don't even know if it's true, it might be a sour sage crossed with one of the cakes, maybe a birthday cake. But how is it a sativa?
You tell me. Do you know how?
I could tell you how I felt.
How did you feel?
I felt when we first smoked it this afternoon, I felt like behind the eyes, like I got pretty heavy eyes.
Same.
And it was very heady.
Yeah, I did too. I as well.
The way I suppose we would describe a sativa in the past.
Yes.
So it's sativa-like effects.
And when you hear sativa, you know the immediate thought is energy. That's just traditionally what we were thinking. Now, we're going to try to approach this first part of the show with education and knowledge. Because knowledge is power. And power, is good. I guess.
With great power.
Yes. Becomes great responsibility.
Yes.
Abraham Lincoln said that.
Michael Scott.
Yeah. Wayne Gretzky. So yeah, our edibles haven't even kicked in yet. Yes. So sativa actually doesn't technically mean the effect that it's going to give you. It just means the way the plant grows, right?
Yes.
So it's not a reliable source of effects. Just know that when you're going into just know that. Just have that in the back of your head. That you're going to want to ask your bud tender more questions than just, is this sativa indica hybrid? Because sometimes you smoke a sativa and it makes you tired. Or sometimes you smoke an indica and you have a panic attack. And you're like, but wait, I was supposed to be relaxed. So that means that it's not necessarily a reliable source of
Yeah, everything is truly hybridized these
Yeah.
days.
yeah, everything pretty much almost.
But I mean, I feel we've been smoking this all day,
Yeah.
and it is delicious.
I do feel uplifted for sure. Like I wouldn't say like energetic, but definitely, I mean, euphoric also.
It's very happy.
Very happy.
It's a
very
happy high.
Yeah. So, yeah, I just wanted to bring that sativa
Also,
thing
the
up.
flavor is on point, which is, sometimes flowers that test that high
That's true.
tend to taste terrible.
That's true. That's a good point. Top Shelf Cultivation is the name of this brand.
Yeah, award winning.
Yeah. Well, if you call yourself Top Shelf, I hope
You better be.
they do. They live up to it. This is really good. If you're around this area, try to find it because it was really yummy. And I'm wary of sativas too, not because of the energetic panic attack thing, but because I usually just don't like them. I just don't like the way they taste or feel, and that just I don't know if that's a sativa thing. It's just the weed I've been smoking that has been called sativas that I don't like.
I feel like there's not enough sour. There's not enough sours going around.
Yeah,
That sour terp.
That's true. I feel like there hasn't been a lot. It kind of like phased out.
And when we find something that has a little sour in it, we're like extra stoked.
Yeah, so this was good. I enjoyed this. That was what we started the afternoon with. And
I have a question for you, Sasha.
what is it?
Can you tell me what a strand is?
A strand. A strand is a piece of hair, or like a piece of string, like a strand. You want a strand of yarn? Yarn.
Yes, yarn. A strand of yarn.
That's what a strand is.
Okay. I have a follow-up question.
Okay.
What is a strain?
A strain of cannabis or a plant is like, in like sciencey terms, we would say like a cultivar, or like when we talk to Riley, a chemovar. But like I would say just like that's the name of the weed.
Yeah,
It's the weed.
If you were talking about grapes, it would be varietal.
Yes, exactly. So the strain is just like, it's just the kind of weed you're smoking. It doesn't mean indica sativa hybrid. That is called something different.
That's like more of like, that was more of like an old time genealogy, plant science.
Yes, like literally it means how the plant grows, pretty much. Like the shape of things.
Like indicas were short and bushy.
Yeah.
Sativas grew tall and very tall and lanky.
So that's important to remember. And it's important. It's just, we want to approach this through a place of education and of like, I think because weed is going to like obviously be rescheduled and everybody is smoking weed and your grandma smokes weed and it's everywhere you look. I think it's good to start with knowing the most you can. And it's okay if you say strand by mistake, obviously. Especially if that's something that you have been saying, like, out of just not knowing. But
it is very common.
It is. All the time.
Misnomer.
It's a misnomer, yes, for sure. And it actually doesn't even, like, sound that far off when you, like, think about it. But just, try, like, I feel like we should try to use the correct terminology so we know what we're talking about.
Yeah,
what are the viruses? Like, what were we saying? Aren't viruses strands, not strains? Because remember, everybody's like, what strain of coronavirus do you have?
Oh, yeah, no, it would be a strain.
It would be a strain. Oh, it would be a strain
virus,
also.
yeah.
So a strain is also
like a
virus.
strain of the flu.
Yeah, you wouldn't say a strand of the flu.
Strand applies to yarn or hair.
Yeah, and pretty much only that. And the bookstore in New York, the Strand.
Are they still there?
oh God, I think they. Ooh, I don't know. I want to say they close, but I don't know.
Well,
yeah, I think it's good. I don't think it's like being like. Don't feel embarrassed or anything if you go into a dispensary and you ask for a strand, or you say it to your friends. They're like, actually, it's a strain. Like, you don't have to feel silly at all. And I say things fucking wrong all of the time.
I mispronounce so many words.
So many.
I put the wrong emphasis on the wrong syllable.
I also do it a lot, like, to be silly. So sometimes I'm like, I did that on purpose. I said that wrong on purpose because I talk funny. But sometimes I really just say the wrong word. The wrong word comes out of my mouth. So we just, again, you don't have to be like super, you don't have to know everything about weed when you go into it. So I don't want to be like intimidating at all. I just want you to have the most knowledge that you can have when you do go embark on your weed journey. Or if you're already on your weed journey and you've been saying strand, just a little FYI.
It's strain.
It's strain. That's all. It's okay.
A little friendly PSA from the nerds.
Just yeah. We were talking about it. We do like to have big educational moments. It's like our thing. Not like we're at all the authority on anything. We just are nerds. That's the whole thing. That's our whole show.
It's in the name.
It's in the name. Yeah. So, and I wanted to bring up quickly before we go to break. There's just, this is like whatever. What was the 60 Minutes with like, what's his name? Mickey Rooney or whatever, whoever at the end, like, and he would just do his like, and another thing.
Oh yeah.
Like
that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, this is the cool nerd. This is the nerds have opinions. Here, I'll find it. Hold on, I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna play it. Is it here? Yeah. Yeah, so now you know why we're doing it's just opinions, little editorial section of our show. I literally was doing prep for the show and typed in like cannabis news or whatever. And the second article that showed up was some NBC news article from San Diego or something. And it was like, the headline was "Too Stoned to Work, Frequent Cannabis Users Prone to Absenteeism." Some study that obviously there's other factors, and we don't even need to go into the study. It's not about the study, actually, because that sounds ridiculous, honestly. But also could be true. I don't know. Maybe the more people that smoke weed, the less they tend to go to work. I know for me, and I know for you, that's not the case. I mean, we're never, ever, ever too stoned to work.
To go to work?
Ever.
No way.
That has literally never happened to us. We are not everybody, but we are two very big stoners. And I have never had a moment in my entire life where I've been like, oh, man, I'm just like, do I? But that's not to say that people who smoke a lot of weed also miss work. I don't think those two go together as much as you'd like to think it does in this article. And, it always says at the end, well, it's unclear if it's directly related to cannabis use disorder, and it's unclear if this and whatever. All they want to really do is talk about cannabis use disorder, and I'm not going to even talk about that. It's not even about the cannabis use disorder of it all, because that is clearly here to stay.
We don't know where it came from.
There's no way to know. But we also know people do get genuinely sick from weed, and we also know you can withdraw from weed. These are all things that are true. What I would like to suggest, so politely, is that we go back to the basics. Maybe we don't body an infused distillant joint every day, every other day, maybe not even once a week. Maybe not even once a goddamn month. Maybe we lay off the concentrated weed a little tiny bit.
So, what ancient nerd theorists
Suggest.
is that possibly,
Maybe.
you might want to roll back your consumption on the infusions, the vaping, the 90% THCs, the 50% infused joints, pre-rolls.
Exactly. Nutsackly.
And get back to the basics.
Get back to the basics. Just get some weed, some flower weed. If you would like to dabble in edibles, I encourage you to do so. Start low and slow. Let's say you're a seasoned smoker. Let's say you've been smoking weed for some years now, and you find yourself needing to take a tolerance break constantly, or you're developing a dependency on smoking weed, or you get sick from it. Once you're at that point, it's usually you've gone too far, right? So before we get to that point, and now if there's genetics that go into these diagnoses, obviously those are the exceptions to what we're saying. And if you are unable to smoke weed, that's okay. That's okay. And if you're listening to the show, that's awesome. You just want to like know more about weed and can't even smoke it, like right on. But like if you can, and this applies to you, if you're smoking much distillate and high percentage weed, you may develop these things, is what it's looking like. So, if possible, maybe just cut it out for a little while. Just maybe don't smoke the pen. I know that's difficult because that's like very popular, but I do feel like so much. I feel it when I do it. But I also really find much relief in basic, just run-of-the-mill, no frills weed. We both do.
The old flower, grind it up, roll it up, smoke it. Be Real said it best.
Yes, this is a direct quote. And like it's okay if I sound whatever. You don't want to do what I'm saying, but
I think that I see it every day. Like people come in, they want the highest testing vape. It's like 90%.
Right.
And the highest testing infused pre-roll. And then at the same time, you're telling me that nothing's working anymore.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I can't get high, or I can't feel high, or you just feel that constant kind of like cloudiness, and it doesn't feel like a difference between when you're not high and you're high. Like that's not great either. And it's totally possible to do. It is possible for everybody. When we were, when it was medicinal and like the edibles were made differently, like I for sure would overdo it with milligrams, and my tolerance was way too high, so nothing would affect me. But it was very easy for me to, like, when dabbing stopped being like as popular, or like whatever, my dab rig broke or something, I was like, like I felt no need. And same with like vapes and stuff. Like I do not smoke even a quarter as much concentrate as maybe I used to. And I think that that's benefited me because I smoke a lot of weed. I really do. I really do smoke a lot of weed. And I personally don't feel like I am on the edge of cannabis use disorder. I'm no again, and we always say we're not doctors, but just get some really good weed. Get yourself. It doesn't even have to be 37%. It could be 25.7% something. If you really need a kick, get a pipe. Get a little pipe.
I mean, we were dabbing our faces off from like 2016 to 2018.
Straight. Yeah, straight. No breaks. No breath. Just dab.
And I felt like just smoking regular flower, I was just smoking.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
But I love being back to, being able to like enjoy, some nice top shelf cultivation.
Yeah, it's true. Like smoking
flower.
was just the bridge to get to the next dab.
Yeah.
That's not a great place to be. But it's not like we were like it wasn't like, we were
Also,
fiending, but it was.
We also went to work every day.
And it literally did sometimes 10-hour days, many days in a row, sometimes inventory day. This miscategorization of stoners it will never stop confounding me. I said this to my sister when I was watching my niece once. I was like, never let anybody tell you a stoner cannot be a parent, a stoner cannot be a fucking doctor, a policeman, somebody in charge, a radio DJ, a fucking tech guy for stages, music industry. We are not the stereotype that has been painted. We're not. And yes, I guess there are, but we dabbed our faces off.
And we got shit done.
And we got shit done, always. So I know we said we weren't going to comment on the study, just to put that out there. But at the same time, we also, and to be fair, we also didn't have as much stuff. The infused joints, were a thing, but, they weren't.
No,
they were like cavi cones.
It was there was the cavi cones, or we were rolling our own hash joints.
Yeah, when we did. Which we did, and we had hash too. But yeah, I don't think generally you could go in and get something like a Jeter's, or everything has a Jeter's-esque version to it. It has the spray on the outside and an infused inside. All companies. I'm surprised when I see a company that doesn't do it. Diamonds or whatever. It's always there. And those, distillate is a very high concentration of THC, and it's just a blast to your face. There's no way you're not going to, have, an after effect from that if that's not kind of tempered, if you don't go a few days without it. And just, you don't have to stop smoking weed.
Just a little less.
Just completely stop. You can have a little puffy puff here and there. And sometimes it's a matter of will, and you want to do your tolerance breaks. And I support everybody in everything that they want to do. Again, it's just a place of a little bit of opinion and a little bit of education. If we cut down little by little, maybe introduce a little CBD in there. No, you won't be coughing your face off till you drool, but you will probably help the chemicals in your brain function naturally, and the cannabis use disorder won't interfere with your life. Because that's when it gets the shittiest. And we don't want that. We believe that I'm not trying to say it's not a thing. I'm not trying to I'm not trying to take away from real things that happen. These are just polite reminders on how to consume your cannabis. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's just another PSA from the nerds.
Yeah. Last week we talked briefly before the retrograde got us and we got kicked offline, but we did talk about mushrooms, and I think we just talked about how Colorado was doing something. I think they were selling them.
Oh yeah, Colorado was about to put in place some sales, and they were modeling it after their cannabis industry.
Yes, which I liked that point. So just like the cannabis industry, the mushroom industry is kind of running into some regulatory what the fuck is in these products problems. Basically, if you go to any smoke shop, pretty much anywhere, you can find a mushroom product.
Yeah, the mushroom gummy, a mushroom chocolate. In your more sophisticated traditional market shops,
right,
you may find some raw mushrooms. But this is specifically
candy. You're probably... if you see something that looks like mushrooms, that's probably honestly your best bet, because what we're about to talk about is fucking scary. And this, again, was something that the cannabis industry dealt with. I wouldn't go so far as to be there's fentanyl in everybody's weed, but before regulations were put in place and testing and all that other good jazz, a lot of weird stuff
there was
wound up in weed.
Yeah, I mean, definitely pesticides and
Yeah.
definitely heavy metals.
Sure, definitely
So,
heavy metals.
all of those things.
Yeah, but everything else, like, I would do your independent research on that. But very similar to the cannabis industry, there was no way to find out what was in these things. But now with mushrooms, especially in California, becoming more mainstream and regulations are going to go quicker because they're using the cannabis industry as reference. So they can, like, legislation can go quicker because they have a point of reference. And it is. And these labs have popped up that are able to test for mushrooms. And we talked about this. Where did we talk? The LA Times did wow, the LA Times is really blowing the whistles on the testings here. Good for them. I mean, this needs to be talked about. They sampled a bunch of weed. We talked about it in our episode, but I'm sure you saw it online. Really popular brands had heavy metals and pesticides and all sorts of business allegedly is in their product, which is insane. So this is very similar, only kind of worse. Somebody did die from ingesting
some sort of candy product.
I don't know if it was a gummy or a chocolate, whatever it was. What was it? Diamond Farms?
Diamond Shrooms.
Diamond Shrooms. Yeah. There's a couple articles on that you can find. The LA Times article did reach them for comment, but they did not comment.
All of their products have been recalled.
Yes. And you really can see these everywhere. And they are especially in cowboy shops.
But because I think it's like another legal gray area.
Right.
Like synthetics were for a minute, and like all of your sciencey kind of that spice.
Right.
So, with the trend of psilocybin and mushrooms becoming bigger, like they've switched gears and started packaging all of these weird synthetic hallucinogens into gummy form.
Yeah.
And there are shops that are just like, isn't there one on the boardwalk in Venice Beach?
A mushroom shop?
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah. There's one here in the valley.
Very close by.
And I don't know what is in those things or what is in those places. I'm not sure because there's no like official word on licensing shops to sell mushrooms here in LA County anyway. I don't know if it looks like a legit shop. I don't know if it is or it isn't. Like, I wouldn't direct anybody to go to a shop to get mushrooms or mushroom candies. Like, I would probably only
the label,
I would talk to us.
Yeah, for sure.
And we may know people, but I would be concerned about getting mushrooms from the homie than getting mushrooms from a smoke shop. That's for sure.
In a package of candy that's labeled it's vague labeling, some are like novelty.
Right.
A novelty collective. You're going to ingest that. Anything that's labeled novelty collective or infused with magic. Wink, wink.
So they do explain kind of like what it is. We've talked about it too. Like mushrooms that you can grow yourself or that you buy in the traditional market. They have a class of natural compounds called tryptamines, right? Tryptamines? The compound that mushrooms have.
The psilocybin?
No, it's called
the other compound.
No, yeah, I know what psilocybin is. It's a I don't know. It's like a natural compound called tryptamines.
Okay.
And some are neurotransmitters, and some naturally occur, but most of them are psychoactive compounds like psilocybin and psilocin. So mushrooms have the magic that. The psilocybin is the magic that's injected into the tryptamine. The psilocybin exists with the tryptamine, and it all goes down in the brain after the body breaks it down. That can, like you said before, be replicated and become a synthetic compound.
Yes, but typically in these gummies, it's a synthetic form of DMT.
Yes. Yes, which is not
A
magic.
whole nother thing. That's a whole nother thing.
Yeah, and let alone like let alone the fact that synthetic is just like a scary thing for something to replicate something that is a natural alternative, like mushrooms and cannabis they're basically homeopathic. And thinking about something synthetic with that is kind of a bummer. Just like that alone, it to me is terrifying.
Yeah, we would like to give the advice to stick with nature, and
Right, exactly.
and you'll be on the right track, the right path.
Yeah, exactly. It's a safe bet. And while like you can totally do too many natural mushrooms and all that stuff, to me it gets a little scary when you are walking into they call it I mean that's what it's psychoactive tryptamine, and that's the 4 ace-toxy tryptamine, and that's for ACO-DMT. That's
Okay.
the scientific term for that. So that's where
Yes.
the tryptamines comes into.
Oh, it's that little carboxyl group
Yeah.
that tickles your brain.
Mm-hmm. And that gives you the trip. So you've heard of DMT from Joe Rogan probably, but you've also heard it from other places. People do DMT. DMT is being studied to help depression, and it's a psychoactive drug that is strong. And I would like to know, if I'm eating a fucking square of chocolate, if I am ingesting any DMT, which these labs who found DMT in these companies' candies go on to say that it's kind of a matter of like consent, and like you do have a right to know what you're ingesting, and there is like a code of conduct among illicit substances that if you're buying something from a person, that you're going to get what you think you're getting. So it's truly unethical what they're doing.
Absolutely.
On every level.
It's fucked up because I paid for mushrooms.
Right.
And I want mushrooms. But the people of Oakland, because fungus has been decriminalized and they've got a market, and they're already, marketing their fungus products in the Bay Area.
Mm-hmm.
They're testing in Oakland, and thankfully,
Yeah.
somebody's doing the work.
Yeah.
What is it? Oakland Hyphy
Yeah.
and Hyphy Labs
Right.
is there doing all this testing for us.
Yeah.
Because they've got the local Bay Area scene wants pure mushrooms.
Well, I mean,
And we all do.
I'm
but
sure that's partially why, but
both.
it's also like a regulation thing too. You can't put out a product and expect it to be sold in a licensed anything if it has like fake DMT in it, and apparently bath salts are also being found.
That one, like, who's making these? That like,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, to me it's like the most unethical thing you can possibly do is put something like bath salts in something like a mushroom candy, because like that's so dangerous to do, first of all, and B of all, it's not even like the same like effect. Like it's not even good chemistry. It's you're just being, I mean, you're trying to make money, and it's why anything synthetic comes out. But if it was something that was like controlled and like it not making people ill, that would be one thing. But if you wonder why, if you have a mushroom chocolate that didn't come from a reliable source and it made you sick, but the last mushroom chocolate you did made you feel great, that's probably why. If you got it from a smoke shop or anywhere, honestly, I don't know where you can safely get mushroom chocolate these days. I just feel like even in places where it's very decriminalized, all over California, these cases are mostly from Oakland, but somebody, I think where the person died was it? I forgot where it was, but it was like, it was SoCal, but somewhere else. So this is happening, everywhere around here. And these labs, they are doing like the Lord's work. They really are really helping, because these brands are selling like hotcakes. Everybody asks about them. Probably they ask you, right, in the dispensary.
They do all the time. People want to know where they can get the polka dot bars. We saw them at the Zolympics.
They didn't have mushrooms.
They
in
didn't
them,
have
though.
any mushrooms in them.
Yeah.
But there's people ask all the time. I've been trying to just let people know, because I had a feeling that I didn't trust the gummies, the mushroom gummies, or the chocolates, unless they were like a very reliable source.
Yeah.
Somebody that we may have known to make chocolates.
Right.
Or we may, I don't know. We may have made our own chocolates.
We may have.
I
don't know. And they may have been very precisely dosed out.
There was some, There was some science going on.
Yeah, because like integrity. But a lot of these labs too, like one of them is started out as a cannabis testing lab. So they know the deal, and they know that what they're looking for. They know that companies are just going to find the thing that they're testing for and just put something else similar to it. I think when it comes to stuff like whatever psychoactive tryptamines, like DMT and bath salts and stuff like that, that's just like baseline insane. Like there's no world in which anybody should by mistake taken any of those drugs other than mushrooms, especially people who do mushrooms, because more often than not, like me, like I don't always take psychoactives. I don't. Like I'm really not a psychoactive kind of gal. Like I was big into mushrooms for a minute. I'm kind of not anymore. So I'm very sensitive to that stuff. So if I took something that made me not feel well, I'm not going to want to take it again. I'm not going to want to do it again. And mushrooms is very much that type of thing. Weed is like that, but mushrooms are very, very much like that.
During my last excursion on mushrooms, I was laid off from my job over the phone.
Yeah. Yeah, but luckily you had good mushrooms.
I had good mushrooms, and I spent the rest of the day FaceTiming you and sitting under a tree.
Yeah, those are like the giggle mushrooms and stuff. But
actual physical ingestible fungus.
Yeah, fungus. It's yucky. It's not going to taste great, but you put it on a pizza, it's fine. and like
a little peanut butter.
I just can't stress this to you enough. The LA Times article cites in June, Profit Premium Blends, the maker of diamond shrooms, told federal officials the problem was toxic levels of mucimol, according to a news release. But later, tested by regulators, it detected the DMT. And mucimol I think it's like, hold on, let me look up what that is. Because I think I remember that being what the vitamin...
Is it like the...
It's just like a different part of mushroom that isn't... it's a mushroom that makes you sick.
Okay.
Right? So it's like vitamin A acetate.
Yeah.
It's the vitamin A acetate of mushrooms, right?
Yes.
So the idea is like you take mushrooms and sometimes you do get sick. Sometimes you do vom. And then your trip is glorious. Honestly, like that was never the case with mushrooms for me. And when people told me that, I was like, I don't know what mushrooms you're doing. That does happen with like mescaline or MDMA. I feel like that happens too. Like your brain, you're poisoning. Your brain is like, oh, what is this craziness? Mushrooms, that does happen to people. I've heard people get sick and enjoy their trip.
I think you have to eat a lot of them.
Yeah, I've never had that happen to me. And when it did happen, it was bad. I didn't like it.
It's when you ingest that heroic dose.
The heroic dose. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So that's what they're saying. And that's what they're saying it was. It was like people ingesting heroic doses of this sick-making mushroom that was in their chocolates.
With the gummies and the chocolate. So
right, but the lab that tested, they were like, you had DMT in your chocolates. So they haven't responded with a response to that. Like they haven't been like, they haven't copped to it. They haven't said yes or no. They haven't said anything to the LA Times or anybody. So, because they like, it's such a gray area, you know, they can do what the fuck they want, really.
Yeah.
But somebody did. I think somebody did pass away. So this isn't, you know, what were you gonna say? Sorry.
No, with all of the synthetics that are being imported and
Yeah.
all of these things, and then, you know, you get unscrupulous people to mix them in just for, like, you will feel something. But then if somebody takes too much of this and dies,
Right.
we have a problem. And we're trying to, this is the next regulated industry, potentially.
And it's kind of like 1 in 10 is like going to be a good one. Like the reporter went to another shop just like randomly, you know, with their reporting, and was asking about some of the stuff on the menu and, you know, at a smoke shop or whatever. And they gave her or them a brand, just like a brand, and was like, this is fake. This is actually psilocybin. This is the synthetic stuff, blah, 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 blah. I like this one the best. Just like, you know. And
it's like a shroom tender.
Yes, exactly. In a smoke shop. And that's what they're doing, you know. But so the reporter took both, and the one that they said, it actually like said on the package like psilocybin, whatever, it's cubensis or whatever, like the plant term. It said that, the strand. And it actually was. They tested it, and it was actually pure psilocybin. So there is a chance that if you go to your trusty smoke shop and you know the person there, they may have a trusty connect that they're just selling through. You know what I mean?
True.
Like, I'm not saying everything out there is bad. I just really don't want people accidentally ingesting DMT. That would traumatize me, truly.
Maybe that's the clarification if it says psilocybin and not magic.
But some of them yeah.
And not novelty purposes.
Well, some of them do say not for human consumption, or some of them do say those things. So you're right. Maybe like look for a more science-y. But I feel like that's also, you know, you can throw a bunch of science words.
For
doesn't
sure.
make it true.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's hard to know, but it is a danger. And I do, like, I have to, like, make sure it's out there that, like, mushrooms are pretty great, but they are certainly, there's something that if you do a bad thing of, you're never going to get over it.
Ever.
And you're going to hate it. And especially if you're going through a time. And that's when I do mushrooms. I do them when I need like a reset, like a little like reboot. And honestly, the only time it's really ever done well for me is when I know where I got them, and not when I ordered them from somewhere, because I've tried those. I've tried getting chocolates from people I know, also not useful. Getting actual fungus from wherever
it comes from,
and just getting a lot of it is what I did. And we just kind of parsed it out, and luckily we did have good sources, and we did have good people that we knew. So ask your bud tender. Probably they won't have anything there, and if they do, vet it. But they'll probably know where you can get fungus. And in California, you don't have to feel like you're doing anything illicit because it's very decriminalized. And if you're in Oakland, it's legal. So, and soon to be in many other states. So don't be like scared of mushrooms because of this. Just be educated and wary of what you're buying and where you're buying it from. Just like always. Consumer beware.
And that's another PSA from the nerds. Mushrooms. The more you know.
The Final Puff with TS and Sasha.
It is the final. We usually do a final huff and puff where we're cranky about something because something always makes us feel curmudgeonly. But sometimes something good happens. Actually, a lot of times. We've been doing a lot of final puffs, I feel like, the last year. We're trying to keep it PMA. And this is from my home state, New Jersey. What did they play at the DNC for New Jersey? Was it Born? No, was it Bruce
It was
Springsteen?
Bruce
It's
Springsteen.
Born in the USA. Yeah, that's us. We did that.
Bruce!
I'm more of a Bon Jovi fan, honestly.
Oh, they played. Luckily, they didn't play "Living on a Prayer."
Living on a prayer. No, Bon Jovi has some of the greatest hits of all time. I'll die on that hill for the rest of my life. But also, Jersey has some very sick scene bands and also emo bands. I mean, a little band called My Chemical Romance comes to mind. So, just saying Jersey is the best in the whole country. And
It is a great place for music, and also visiting New Jersey. I've
yeah,
had some of the finest cannabis.
you have.
I was proud of New Jersey cannabis.
I know. You were pleasantly surprised. I am pleasantly surprised. It's a real treat when you can go home. You just go home and you're able to have access to the same quality almost of cannabis that you can get out here. While it's not California, it's still very good for it being like regulated weed, honestly. And the governor, Phil Murphy, when he was elected in, we were doing this show, and I remember we talk about it, you can probably find it somewhere. He said 90 days, I think, was his thing, and it was not. It was more days. But he said he's going to get in, and that's going to be his first work of orders. He's going to get weed legalized in that state, and he did it. He sure did it.
He did. He fast-tracked it as fast as New Jersey could possibly
Before
do
New
it.
York.
And he did. And the results have been... I'm impressed with the results.
Yes, they have been great. I've been really, really happy. And this little article from Marijuana Moment has Governor Murphy goes to a dispensary. This is so cute. A marijuana business.
Yes.
A marijuana business. A business of marijuana.
He toured
Prolific
Grow
Grow
House.
House. Yes, not a dispensary. A marijuana business. Prolific Grow House. And yeah, the person who owned David Nicholas, who owns Prolific Grow House, it seems like it was a really great day for him because, who would to ever think that, and especially this young man, because it's equity. This is what legalizing weed looks like.
Yeah, this is what we wanted, the social equity program to actually work. And David Nicholas was awarded a license under the program of, legacy to, legality.
Yes.
So,
yes.
That's what he was in the legacy market. He was, I don't know, he's probably convicted.
He was, yeah. I mean,
And
yeah.
so
yeah,
this
he
was
started off on the legacy side. Yeah, legacy to legal.
And, he was awarded a license and has his business is up and running. Can take that knowledge of growing and marketing and selling cannabis and
right.
Turn
Do
it
it legally.
Do it legally now.
And do it for the masses. And for the government to go and see that physically play out, physically see an entrepreneur who's like, no, I made those fat sacks when I was on the streets. I would like to do that clean. I would like to have the opportunity to do that, to do what I'm good at, and to do that in a way that is legal, and I'm paying taxes, and I'm doing it the clean way. And that's what he was awarded, and that's what he worked to achieve, this young David Nicholas. And I mean, Jersey's doing great. With weed, from what we see. I mean, if you work in the weed industry, reach out to us, Cool Nerd Weed Show, DM us. You can also email us. Our email is on our Instagram. We would love to talk to you. We'd love to see what the vibe is. Does it feel hopeful? Does it feel as good as it looks? Are you happy? Are you as happy as we are? Because it looks pretty good. The CRC seems to be keeping afloat, kind of making sure everything is straight and narrow. We haven't heard about many scandals, really. I mean, Massachusetts, there's been a bunch of other ones, but I think there was one or two.
Yeah, I mean, there's always going to be a little bit of scandal, but it's
nothing that takes them out at the knees.
Not like a Jersey amount of scandal that we would expect. It was
Are you
it was
saying
minimal.
that
It
there
was
is
minimal.
a stereotype that comes from New Jersey? that what you're saying?
You know me from the East Coast.
You saying I have an
Man.
Italian last name? What are you saying?
So
you have
do
an
I,
Italian
so do
last
I.
name too.
I'm saying there could have been a Jersey amount of scandal.
A Jersey amount of scandal. There really
But-
could have been, but there
it
wasn't.
was
and
minimum.
So, yeah,
And
so far.
So far, it feels like New Jersey cannabis is thriving.
Yes.
And Governor Phil Murphy actually has a strain named after him.
Yes.
Murphy's Sours.
I love it. Oh, is it a sour strain?
I would hope so.
Let's go get it.
I want it.
We're definitely gonna go get it when we go to Jersey. This is a beautiful thing. This is exactly what we ask for when we ask for weed legalization, because social equity is like what legal weed looks like in action. We are also what legal weed looks like in action, but a very hopeful and like promising tale is to see people who had their lives shattered because of prohibition, and who have shown that that's literally insane that we did that, and now I'll show them, and they are showing us, and they're fucking killing it. So good for you, David Nicholas. Good for you, New Jersey. Yeah, woo. I don't get to say that a lot for like many things, okay? So give us weed, please. And I'm very grateful for that. We hope that this was educational and good for you, and the PSAs hit home. And if you have any suggestions, our box is always open. and
So slide on in.
and
Don't panic.
it's organic. Jesus Christ.